Yeah, good morning, all of you. Today we are going to see the second chapter under financial markets and institutions. The second chapter is all about banking system. The second chapter totally is concentrating on banking system, how banking system will work. We are going to see, the course title is Financial Markets and Institutions. Course code is MBA 5052. Instructor Dr. Krishna Gadasundala, that's me. And if you see the syllabus in the second chapter, in the banking system, we are going to see evaluation of the central banking, definition of the central banking functions, credit control methods, monetary policy and its objectives, and regulations of the financial system and central banking system in Ethiopia. And relating to the central bank, these are all the points we are going to see. And relating to commercial banking system, we are going to see the definition of commercial banking services, domestic and international banking operations. These are the concepts that we are going to cover under chapter 2 in banking system. And if you see this banking system is a group of network institutions that provide financial services for us in day-to-day life. Every day we are having the relation with the banking. Every day, every time we go to the bank and we deposit, we withdraw the money and we take loans. There are many activities which have been done under banking system in day-to-day life. And these institutions are responsible for operating a payment system and providing loans, taking deposits, and helping with the investments. So they provide the investment alternatives also, like a bond. They'll sell the bonds and they'll sell the insurance policies, and they provide different investment alternatives also, apart from the deposits and loans. And functions of the banking, if you see that, to deposit funds and use for checking accounts. They provide the checkbook accounts and they provide the deposit of funds, and debit cards to pay our bills and make the purchases. Debit cards are selling the moment you open your account, they'll issue the debit cards. With that debit card, you can do purchases and you can do shopping without carrying the hard cash. So that is what the specialty of the debit cards which are being provided by the banks. Next one is that finance our cars and homes. If you want a home loans, if you want a car loans, they are providing loans for these cars and homes also. And distribution currency and establish the money related policies. And they'll distribute the currency among the in the form of loans and establish the money related policies like insurance policies or fixed deposit schemes, recurring deposit schemes, like that. There are many schemes they are providing in relating to the money. And conduct a traders or deal with the capital markets. See, in Ethiopia it is not the practice, but in India, if you see this, every bank is a supermarket. Supermarket means every bank is has a different operations apart from the deposits, apart from the withdrawals, apart from the loans. They are providing demat account services, which is the demat means the account which is used for the stock market trading. They are providing the stock market platform trading platforms, and they are assisting you to buy and sell of shares, and they are assisting you to invest in the stock market. And they are working as a merchant banking also. Merchant banking means which helps to the banks to provide different services like issuing the shares and buying the shares. So like this, the conducted trades and deals with capital markets also in India. All banks almost they are doing different services, but in Ethiopia it is not the practice now. Very small services are being provided in banking in Ethiopia. So if you see this, obtain profit by charging more interest and paying the less interest of the on deposits. So the main core business of the any banking system is that taking the deposits at less rate and lending the same deposit amount at higher rate. This is the major core business of the banking system. And if you see these types of banking financial institutions, if you see this, there are financial institutions under these banking institutions, non-banking institutions. Under this non-banking banking institutions, commercial banks, cooperative banks, regional, rural banks, and foreign banks. I think foreign banks are not there in Ethiopia, but thing is that the commercial banks, cooperative banks, and rural banks. There are three banks which are operated in Ethiopia. And if you see this Amhara Regional Cooperative Bank, Credit Society, Amhara Credit Cooperative Societies, like this, there are many banks under this. And if you see these commercial banks, under this commercial bank, there are private banks and public banks. If you see this in Ethiopia, there are 16 private sector banks and 2 public sector banks are there. That is 2 public sector banks like Commercial Bank of Ethiopia and National Development Bank of Ethiopia (DB). So like this, there are different financial institutions which are operated in a banking system. And evaluation of central banking with reference to Ethiopia. If you see this evaluation of central banking, the GOE, Government of Ethiopia, allowed the establishment of private banks and insurance companies in 1994, but it continues to prohibit the foreign ownership in this sector. I already told you that there is no foreign ownership banking in Ethiopia, but they have a liaison offices in Addis Ababa, which are working to provide the credit to the required persons. So only liaison offices are there, but no direct deposit or withdrawal or direct banking system of foreign banks. The Ethiopian banking sector is currently comprised of a central bank, that is a National Bank of Ethiopia, and it is Ethiopia's central bank. National Bank of Ethiopia is Ethiopia's central bank. 2 government-owned banks and 16 private banks are there in Ethiopia. In September 2011, NB issued a regulation that increased the minimum paid-up capital required to establish a new bank from 75 million birr, that is the $3.4 million, to 500 million birr, that is $22 million. So if you want to start a new bank in Ethiopia, their paid up capital has been increased drastically from 75 million birr to 500 million birr now. Now, under this growth of transportation plan, GTP2, again the further NB increased the minimum paid capital for the banks to 2 billion birr, 2 billion birr, from 500 million to, again they increased the minimum paid up capital to 2 million birr, that is $90 million, and advised all the 16 currently operating private banks to increase their paid up capital to that amount by 2020. So they have to maintain 2 billion birr as a paid up capital to start. So that's why by increasing this paid up capital amount, there is no chance of coming up new banks in Ethiopia, because it is a huge amount which is required to start a new banking. And if you see, these foreign banks are not permitted to provide financial services in Ethiopia, and the bank is closer to foreign retail banks. So I already told you there is no chance for foreign banks in Ethiopia. Currently, Ethiopia has allowed some foreign banks to open liaison offices in Addis Ababa to facilitate the credit the companies their countries of the origin. So to provide the credit, just they have opened the offices. That's enough. And if you see this, Chinese, German, Kenyan, Turkish, South African banks are open liaison offices in Ethiopia. And based on the most recent data, commercial bank is playing a major role in banking system in Ethiopia. Nearly 60% of the total bank deposits and loans and foreign exchanges are being operated by commercial bank. So with this, we can understand that 60% market capacity is there with the commercial bank of Ethiopia. And if you see, this NBE controls the bank minimum deposit rates, which now stands at 5%. Minimum deposit rates, that you know that in Ethiopia is a 5%, is very less than any other rates. And while loan interest rates are being to float, so floating rate, they are always they may be fluctuate. Always there is fluctuation in the rate of interest. And real deposit rates have been negative in recent year, mainly due to the inflation. If you see this, state-owned commercial bank dominates the market in terms of assets, deposits, bank branches, and a total banking workforce. In 2016, CBE merged with another state-owned bank, that Construction Bank and Business Bank. If you see this, in 2016, CBE, Commercial Bank of Ethiopia, merged with another state-owned bank, the Construction and Business Bank, that is merged with the commercial bank. And the other government-owned specialized bank is the Development Bank of Ethiopia. DB is another public sector bank in Ethiopia, and the state-owned DB provides loans to investors in a priority sector. So priority based on the government priority, they'll provide the loans from the DB, Development Bank of Ethiopia. And DB extends the short-term, medium, and long-term loans available development projects, including industrial and agriculture projects. DB also provides other banking services such as checking and savings to its clients also. Now, apart from this priority-based lending, they do saving accounts and checking accounts also done by DB, Development Bank of Ethiopia. And there is a growing liquidity problem in Ethiopia that impending the private sector. So there is a liquidity problem here in Ethiopia. To address this problem, liquidity means the availability of the cash with the banks. So to address this problem, NB reduced the reserves and the liquidity requirements of banks from 25% to 10%. There is a liquidity cash reserve ratio. You know that cash reserve ratio, the reserve which needs to be keep with the central bank. All the commercial banks needs to keep some sort of reserves with the central bank. So that reserves has been reduced. That reserves percentage has been reduced from 25% to 10% respectively in January 2012, and further it is been reduced reserve requirement to 5%. Means the less the reserve requirement with the central bank, the more the liquidity available with the commercial banks. So like this, they are trying to overcome this liquidity problem. And in 2015, NB allowed commercial banks to provide mobile banking and agent banking also. Mobile banking, I think most of them we are using. They allowed, NB allowed mobile banking even in remote areas. They have been kept some agents. That agents will operate the banking services to boost the economy and to help the remote area people. And pursuance of NBs permit many of the commercial banks added mobile and agent banking in the line of services. It's a good part. Slowly, the mobile banking has been increasing. I think CB wallet also, CB Beer wallet also been introduced recently. I think commercial bank CB Beer mobile wallet also been introduced. That is a good part, good development in terms of the banking sector in Ethiopia. And functions of the central bank. If you see these functions of the central bank, the role of central bank, like functions of central bank, if you see this monopoly of a notes issue, there are six functions which are been done by central bank. Monopoly of note issues. Note issue means who will print the currency in Ethiopia. Not only Ethiopia, in any country, the printing of currency will be done by only central bank. So that's why it's a monopoly of notes issue. If they want to print any new currency, new notes, then it is possible only with the central bank. That is a major role of a central bank under the functions. And the consideration of exchange reserves, like a custodian of exchange reserves, means they'll keep different countries' foreign exchange reserves with the central bank so that they can accommodate on imports. Whoever wants the different countries' foreign exchanges, then central bank can provide. So it is a custodian of exchange reserves, foreign exchange reserves. They'll keep with them. That is another function of central bank. Another one is that promoter of economic development. You see, their central bank is providing funds to commercial banks, and commercial banks are providing loans to industries and companies and public, so that there will be economic development by providing loans to the companies. Company can generate the goods and services, and company can generate the employments, and like that there will be economic development contribution from the central bank. And one more thing is that bankers to the government. When government is required money, then central bank can provide by issuing the treasury bills. In we have seen in money market instruments, treasury bills are there. On behalf of central government, central bank will issue the treasury bills to the market, and they'll raise the funds and they'll give it to the central bank. So it is a bankers to the government, as well as another function is that bankers to the commercial banks also. It is giving the guidance to the commercial banking system. It provides how much loans to be given, how much interest to be charged, all those things being controlled by central bank only. So it is commercial bankers to commercial banks also. Commercial banks will be controlled by central bank. One more is the control of the credit. Controller of the credit means how much money supply should be there in the market. If money supply would be more, inflation would be more. If inflation would be more, economic slowdown will be there. So like this, how much money should be there, how much interest should be charged from the market. By increasing, decreasing the bank rate or interest rates, they may control the credit, lending loans, and all those things will be done by central bank. So these are the six major roles and functions of the central bank in this banking system. Next, methods of the credit control used by the central bank. There are different. See, credit control. If credit control is under control, then economic development, inflation will be under control. So, like this, to control the credit, the central bank will use various methods. Under this, the following the points highlights two categories of methods of credit control by central bank. The two categories are that quantitative quantitative or general methods, and the second one is that qualitative or selective methods. Under this qualitative or general methods, there are three methods, that is bank rate, open market operations, variable cash reserve ratios. These are the three methods under quantitative or general methods. And second category is that qualitative or selective methods. Second category, under this there are six credit methods are there. That is, one is that credit rationing, direct action, moral persuasion, publicity, regulation of the consumer's credit, and regulating the marginal requirements of the security loans. So these are the various methods. We'll see one by one what are all these. First category we'll see this quantitative or general credit control methods. What are these? Under this quantitative or general methods, bank rate, that is bank rate or repo rate, is one of the method. What is this bank rate? Bank rate is also referred to as a discount rate in American English, or it is the rate of interest which central bank charges on its loans and advances to a commercial bank. If a commercial bank is taking any loan or advances, the central bank will charge some sort of interest. That interest is been called as a bank rate or repo rate. Repo rate is a rate at which the central bank will lend money or advances to the commercial banks. So whenever a bank is a shortage of funds, then they can typically borrow from the central bank based on the monetary policy of the country. Based on the monetary policy of the country, when there is a shortage of funds from commercial bank, then commercial bank will borrow from central bank at a certain interest rate. That interest rate is being called as repo rate or bank rate. Based on this only, they'll lend the loans. Based on this interest rate only, they'll lend the loans to the public or commercial banks. If the central bank wants to control the credit, it will raise the bank rate. It will raise the bank rate, so that if it is rising the bank rate, then interest rates would be high. When interest rates would be high, and public may not go for taking more loans. So that's why they control credit by increasing the repo rate. As a result, the market rate and other lending rates in the money market will go up, so that borrowing will be discouraged. So that borrowing will be discouraged. So that's why by increasing the repo rate, they can control the credit rate in the market. The rising of the bank rate will lead to contraction of the credit. So similarly, a fall in the bank rate, if they decrease the bank rate or repo rate, then it will lower the lending rates in the money market, which in turn will stimulate the commercial and industrial activity, for which more credit will be required from the bank. So whenever they want to pump more money, whenever they want to give more loans, then the repo rate would be reduced. So when repo rate is been reduced, interest rate would be reduced, so that public will have more access to the loans by utilizing these lower interest rates, and thus there will be expansion of volume of the credit by reducing the repo rate. And reverse repo rate, it is a reverse to the repo rate or bank rate, is the rate at which central bank borrow money from the commercial banks. That is a major thing. It is a reverse. Sometimes central banks also borrow money from the commercial banks. How it is? So reverse repo rate is opposite to contract to the repo rate. Reverse repo rate is a rate at which central bank borrow funds from all other commercial banks from the country. In other words, if you want to say, it is the rate at which commercial banks park their excess money with the central bank for a short period of time. So whatever the excess funds they have, commercial banks, they will park this money with the central bank by taking certain amount of interest, that is called reverse repo rate. So it is a liquidity regulator and price stability. So reverse repo rate, if reverse repo rate is higher, then a higher rate, if a central bank is giving a higher interest rate, all banks will go and deposit money with the central bank instead of loans to general public. So like this, reverse repo rate also will work as a liquidity regulator and price stability. And one more thing is that one more operation of a credit control method is that open market operations. How this open market operations will work? Opens market infusing liquidity into the market. Under this open market operation, they'll infuse the liquidity into the market. So buying and selling of government securities in the open market to expand or contract the amount of money in the banking system. So that's why recently, if you see, for example, recently RBI, Reserve Bank of India, that is India's central bank, announced that it will inject nearly 120 billion liquidity into the system through purchase of government securities. So they'll purchase the government securities from the central government, and they'll inject the money, they'll give money to the central government. So like that, in open market operations, by selling and buying of government securities, they'll inject the money, more liquidity to the market, and purchasing of bonds with the maturity ranging between 1 year, like a 20, 30 and 10 years span of time. And one more thing, that central bank involve OMO to buy and sell securities in the market with expansionary and contractionary. What is this expansionary and contractionary? If you see this expansionary, money supply increases. Why money supply increases? Purchase of government securities by the central bank. When central bank is purchasing the government securities, then they'll inject more money, so that money supply will be increases and liquidity would be increases. And one more thing is contractionary. Contractionary means money supply decreases. Why money supply decreases? Selling of securities by the central bank. So they will sell the securities by the central bank, so that money supply would be decreases, liquidity decreases. So like this, contractionary, expansionary things are there under methods of the under open market operations. So if you see this cash reserve ratio, I already told you that previously the Ethiopian government has reduced this cash reserve ratio from 25% to 5%, because they want to pump more liquidity to the banks. So that's why cash reserve ratio is the amount of funds that banks have to maintain with the central bank. Under this system, central bank controls the credit by changing the cash reserve ratio. For example, if the commercial banks have excessive cash reserves, on the basis of which they are creating too much credit. If they have excess funds, more funds, then they may give too much of credit, which is harmful to the larger interest of the economy. When more credit is available, more loans are being given, then money supply would be more, and purchasing power would be more, so that inflation would be more. So like this, it may disturb the economic system. So that's why it will rise the cash reserve ratio with the commercial bank, so that it will rise the cash reserve ratio. That the cash reserve ratio may be increased, so that more funds may be struck with the central bank, so that availability of the credit would be less. Credit funds would be less. So like this, when increasing the cash reserve ratio, less money supply would be there. When decreasing the cash reserve ratio, more money supply would be there with the commercial banks to lend money to various sectors, to lend money to various sectors. So like this, it will control the credit by decreasing the cash reserve ratio by the central bank. One second category is that qualitative or direct or selective method of credit control. What is this qualitative or directive sale of method? Second category. If you see this second category, the qualitative or selective methods, their objective is mainly to control and regulate the flow of credit into a particular industries or a business. They want to control the credit or loan amount to a particular person or a particular industry or a particular business. That is the main motive of the second category of direct selective method of the credit control. The following are the most important methods under this control selective method. One is that rationing of the credit, direct action, moral persuasion, method of publicity, regulation of the consumer credit, and regulating the marginal requirement on security loans. So we'll see one by one what are all these. And rationing of the credit. Under this method, the credit is mentioned by limiting the amount available to the each applicant. Whatever the application is coming, each applicant may be controlled. If they apply for 1 million or 1 billion, they may reduce this amount. No, this much cannot be possible. So like this, directly rationing of the credit may be maintained by controlling the credit to each and every applicant. The central bank puts the restrictions on the demand. So this is an important method. Of credit control, and this policy has been adopted by a number of countries like Russia, Russia, Russia and Germany. Russia and countries like Russia and Germany, most of the developed countries are applying this rationing of credit. And second one is that direct action. Under this method, if the commercial banks do not follow the policy of the central bank, if they are controlling the credit control and they are putting the restrictions of industries not to give this much loans, if they are not following, if commercial bank do not follow the policy of the central bank, then central bank has the only resource to direct action. Then this method can be used to enforce both quantitatively and qualitatively credit controls by the banks. If the commercial bank is not following credit control mechanism, then directly they'll give the directions to the commercial banks, and they may take the action, direct action against the commercial banks. And third method is that moral persuasion. This method is frequently adopted by central bank to exercise the control over the commercial banks. Under this method, the central bank gives advice, then request a persuasion to the commercial banks to cooperate with the commercial central bank implementing and credit policies. If the commercial bank do not follow or do not abide the advice and request of the central bank, no gross action is being taken against them. So if the commercial bank is not following the central bank policy, just in requestive way, cooperative way, they will implement, they will take the action. They will not take any severe action against commercial banks under this moral persuasion credit control method. And fourth one is that method of publicity. Under this, in modern times, central bank, in order to take central bank, in order to take their policies successful, take a course of medium of publicity, because they are announcing each and every policy what they are going to implement. They are announcing to the public. A policy can be effectively successful only when effective public opinion is created on its favor. If a public is accepting in a favor, so definitely the policy would be very successful. So like this, before implementing any policy, before taking any action, they'll take the public opinion and they'll try to implement that public opinion. In developed countries, like commercial banks automatically change their credit creation policy, but in developing countries, commercial bank is being lured by regional gains, because regional government, regional politics and state politics and dominating the commercial banks. So even Reserve Bank of India, even India also, the RBI is following the same policy, moral publication or method of publicity. So like this, if you see this, fifth one is the regulation of the consumer credit. Regulation of under this method, consumers are given credit a little quantity on his on this period, which is fixed 18 months. With the 18 months period, they'll give little quantity of the loan or money as a loan. Consequently, credit creation is expanded within the limit. They'll put the limit in terms of time, in terms of money. They put the limit. Under this, they may provide a little quantity of loans for the small scale sectors. This method is originally adopted by the US as a protective and defensive measure. Thereafter, it has been used as a adapted by various other countries. Also, are been using for providing term-based loans and small loan-based, small-scale sector loans. They are providing under this regulation of the consumer credit. And one more thing is that monetary policy and objectives. What is a monetary policy? Monetary policy is how central bank manage the liquidity to create the economic growth. Monetary policy is about how banks manage the liquidity, how they manage the liquidity and interest rates. So liquidity in the money supply means liquidity means the money supply that includes on credit how much is available, on cash which how much available, on checks how much is available, and the market and mutual funds in the form of money market, in the form of mutual funds, in the form of credit, in the form of cash, how much money is available, that is called money supply. So the monetary policy is all about managing the liquidity to create the economic growth. So Rowan remarked, Dr. DC Rowan remarked is that monetary policy is defined as a discretionary action undertaken under authorities to design the influence of money supply. I already told you that money supply, cost of money means that is interest rate that is being charged on loans or other investment options, and availability of the money, how much money is available, how many goods and services are available, how much money is available in the market. These two must be equal so that there is a equal proportion of buying purchasing power and money supply would be there. Based on this, inflation would be defended. And objectives of the monetary policy is that the primary objective of a central bank is to manage the inflation. That is a major part. If money supply is more, if goods and services are less, then inflation would be more. So like this, vice versa. Like this, we may say that primary objective of a central bank is to manage the inflation. The second is to reduce the unemployment. See, that is a major thing of central bank, because central bank will provide loans to the companies and industries will create the companies and expand their businesses. They provide the employment so that economic growth would be there, employment would be there. So that's why to reduce the unemployment, that is but only after they have controlled the inflation. First priority is controlling the inflation. Next priority is that unemployment, reducing the unemployment by providing the loans to the companies. And the top 6 objectives of the monetary policy. What are those top 6 objectives of the monetary policy? It is maybe different from country to country, but time to time. But in a brief description, the same has been following. What is that? Neutrality of money. Neutrality of money means how many goods and services are available, how much money is available, money supply is available. Neutrality. If it is a neutrality is there between goods and services availability and money availability, so that inflation would be under control. So that was second one is that price stability. I already told you that if more money supply is there, public will have more purchasing power. So that more purchasing power means inflation would be increased. Inflation would be increased because that much goods and services may not be possible to provide. And full employment. I already told you that elimination of unemployment by providing loans to the companies. They will give the expansion to the companies by providing loans so that they can create the employment and so that they can eliminate the unemployment. And economic growth, I already told you that it is contributing to the economic growth by controlling the inflation rate, by controlling the credit supply and money supply. And equilibrium in the balance of payment. Balance of payment, BOP, is a balance of payment. Like it is about imports and exports. Equilibrium must be there. How much we export, the same thing must be imported. Like this, they try to see the equilibrium of the balance of payment in terms of imports and exports. So that is what one thing. So thank you so much. With this, we have completed the second chapter. Thank you so much. And it will be uploaded in a YouTube. You can watch this and we'll continue to the next chapter. Thank you.